Meet the Widow, the wittiest witch of the Midwest.
This year, I'll be more dedicated to putting self-care first.
Meet her corpse of a husband, Charlie.
I would consider myself pretty unlucky.
He's a prisoner on their basement couch.
Or you could just give me back the use of my limbs.
Condemned by his wife to spend an eternity indulging in her favorite pastime.
Look at this, Charlie. Horror movies.
While she lives her life,
Have you watched your horror movie yet today?
he rots away on the couch. Because when her love becomes his prison,
Why waste time hurting me when you can just kill me?
even death isn't an escape. But for this campy couple, true love never dies.
Happy birthday, dear.
It festers. Episodes premiere every Wednesday starting December 17th on Better Luck Than Chuck's YouTube channel. Subscribe now.
What up, folks? This is your boy Dino, aka your Solid 5.
And Bay Area Creep keeping it real. And we are the Boo Crew.
So scared.
Spooky.
So we have some very special guests this time around. We got Tony Wash and Meredith Tummillo.
Tummillo, yeah.
Tummillo, okay. Ooh.
Tummillo.
I was like, I hope I don't butcher that.
No worries.
So you guys are coming out with a show called Better Luck Than Chuck, and it's already like it's from what I saw so far, it's freaking awesome.
It's turning heads, yeah.
For sure. I took notice of that in October is when you guys kind of came around.
Yeah,
Early
I think
October?
we premiered the pilot episode in May in Denver at a
Oh.
festival called Series Fest. So we started slowly kind of creeping into socials then. But yeah, I think the last like 2 or 3 months we've been really kind of hitting the social media pretty hard.
Yeah.
Right. And so before we dive deep into the whole Better Than Chuck, I kind of like to know a little bit more about you guys. So Tony, you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
You went to Thompson Media School for one,
Yeah, in Pittsburgh.
and that's pretty amazing in its own right. How was that experience there?
It was a pretty good time. I mean, it's you get out of it what you put into it is kind of how I always describe it. I think that a lot of the people I went to school with, including myself in a lot of degrees, didn't really take advantage of just learning how to do it by just doing it over and over and over again. You know, there were certain students that would sit and sculpt all day or, you know, perfect their mold making or whatever. And then there were others that did it during class and then maybe did some on the as homework, if you want to call it, to get their projects done. But it's not like they were going above and beyond and utilizing the supplies and the resources of the school outside of class to really kind of like do more than they were required to do for class. And so in that regard, like I think it's worth it if you truly know that you want to get into special effects on the practical level. I thought I wanted to do effects because I was decent at art and I was a pretty good like sculptor and I used to do a lot of wood carving. And so I thought, well, I could probably do a decent job of sculpting, and it was a good foot in the door versus going to traditional film school, because here in Chicago there's Columbia, and all of my friends that wanted to go into film were like going to Columbia, and it's like I don't want to just do the same thing that everybody else is. And so I think it was a great opportunity for me because I halfway through school decided, I'm going to shoot a movie while I'm going here, work with all my friends to do the special effects, and just find a cool old house, because there were so many old abandoned houses in the town of Monessen where the school's located, which is about 40 minutes south of Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so I basically invested my life savings in shooting my first feature-length movie, which is called It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want to.
Yeah.
And it's got a cameo from Tom Savini in it. We got him to come out for a day and shoot a couple of scenes. And all practical effects. It's been compared to like Evil Dead meets Night of the Demons and Creep Show.
Uh,
Um, so it's a fun movie. I didn't know what the hell I was doing with my camera or anything like that, but at the end of the day, it's what I needed to do to feel like I got what I needed out of that school and spending the money to go there. And then the other great thing is just having a surplus of special effects contacts in the business now that I can reach out to do things like create the mask for Charlie for our game show. That
Yeah.
was a buddy of mine who I went to school with 20 years ago.
oh,
So
wow.
How about
And
you, Meredith? What
yeah.
you how's your upbringing began?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always been creative since I can remember, when I was little. Just, I loved making things. I've always made costumes, and my mom made us our Halloween costumes all the time. We never got them from a store. So, I think like
Mhm.
just being hands-on and being creative has always just been such a big part of my life.
Yeah.
I have been in the event industry forever, producing things for like actual events, like weddings and corporate events and stuff.
Hmm.
So, and then just kind of always designing things like kids' birthday parties, and not necessarily a wedding planner, but, you know, just anything I can make, I would make. And when I met Tony, we're married in case your audience doesn't know that, but when I met him, I was introduced to the world of filmmaking and more specifically production design. And, unless you have friends in the industry or, go that path from a school standpoint, like he said, Columbia or whatever,
Hmm.
unless you are actually immersed in it, you're not even really aware of it. And I just realized, wow, like production design, I've been doing this my whole life. I've been making costumes, I've been making parties, and my nephew's third birthday party was a monster theme party, and I made
Mhm.
like all these
That's
little
cool.
monsters, and like I was technically doing set design, but I just didn't know that's what it was essentially.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's the great thing about meeting a partner that not only, obviously you love and are compatible with, but like to find someone creative and brought me into his world. I worked on a couple films with him, mostly horror movies. We worked on The Stylist, um, and a couple other movies, and even a Christmas movie with some of his film family here in Chicago.
Hmm.
And I was just hooked. This was probably what, 7 years ago now. And so I have just been helping in essentially like the art department, any sort of production design or art department type stuff. And yeah, I mean, I always say it kind of planted the seed of Tony and I always knew we wanted to work together on something of our own.
Yeah.
Um, and the great thing about Better Luck Than Chuck is it truly was, you know, it was a joint force because they're his characters. But I was the one that literally one night said to him, "Have they ever made a horror trivia game show?" Like
Hmm.
I've gone to so many horror conventions and I've always liked horror. My sister and I totally had the teenage sleepovers where we watched horror, but I am not like you guys in the sense of like lifelong fans going to conventions, and so when I started going to conventions with him, I realized like not only do I like horror movies, but oh my God, horror fans are so cool and so
Yeah.
passionate and so have so much knowledge. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of really the seed that was planted. And as soon as we started talking about a horror trivia game show, kind of, 2.5 years later since that idea, sitting on a couch, here we are.
That's so funny. So
Yeah.
Tony was your horrific influence.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'm
Yes.
Did
sure
you
my
guys
others are happy about that.
did you guys meet on the stylist or is that before that?
No,
No,
we
actually, we met the good old fashioned way, online dating.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
how it was
Yeah,
done.
we actually I said to her a couple months ago, we shot the game show a couple years ago and
Hmm.
we've just been working on like building the brand and trying to find a way to release it the most strategically way.
Right.
And so back in November of this last year, we got together for a couple of days and did like content where we just shot some promo stuff for socials and we ended up creating a micro sitcom that we're releasing weekly on our YouTube channel right now,
Yeah.
all the way through halfway to Halloween, which is the end of April, just to build the brand and get people to hang out with the Widow and Charlie, our two hosts of the game show.
Yeah.
And it's funny because while we were there, we were like watching the footage at the end of the night after we shot everything. And I was just like, oh man, wouldn't it be funny if we went and like try to get Bumble, like let's say this show gets successful and we do like 5, 6, 10 seasons, whatever, we should go to Bumble and see if they would sponsor the show because we're like a success story. You know, like we met on Bumble, fell in love, got married, and now we're producing a show
And
together.
made horror
And
trivia
so
game shows. Yes. I'm sure their
Yeah.
marketing department would be like, that's
for
our whole
Halloween,
strategy.
for Halloween, you never know. You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so
That's awesome.
Do it. That'll be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll
if
be
any
so amazing.
Bumble marketing excs are listening.
Oh,
That's
I
gonna be
mean,
awesome.
yeah, they're one of the top ones, so you know.
Yeah.
Tony, you had the characters in mind. So how did the initial spark happen about like, well, so you suggested a game show or were you already thinking about it?
no, we were watching a movie one night on the couch in our living room, and she just kind of like looked at me and was like, "Have they ever done a horror trivia game show before?" And I thought about it for a minute and was just like, "No, I don't think they have, not that I can think of at least."
Right.
And so I don't know how it went from that conversation of being like, "Hey, that would be kind of cool," because her and I, we've been together for almost 8 years now. And
Okay.
pretty much ever since we met, it's been a lot of creative conversations of, oh, this is really cool, or what about this as a movie idea, or we should do this as like we should start our own business. I mean, Meredith is very much like idea over here, idea over here, idea over here, and an idea here and here, and she's constantly coming up with all these ideas. And if we actually had the
Mhm.
time and the money to like invest in all of them,
Yeah.
I would imagine half of them would probably be somewhat successful, if not very, because a lot of them are pretty good ideas. But for some reason, this one, like, it just stuck with us, and so she started working on a pitch deck to just kind of represent visually what the idea could look like so that if we wanted to start talking to investors to get the show developed, we would have something to show them.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of went from there. We started raising the money, just the two of us, going out and talking to people. We got our co-producers Rob Stern and Sarah Sharp involved, who I've been working with for 14 years now. Um, and they've done a lot of movies over the years. And so we were just kind of like, you guys have production experience. What do you think of this idea? They were instantly like, this is a tremendous idea. It is something that's super marketable.
Yeah.
There's opportunity for perpetuation with multiple seasons, unlike a movie that, typically is one and done. So yeah, so we just, I don't know, once the ball started rolling with the idea and the pitch deck, then once we started raising money, we picked up the steam and eventually we were, on set and building this basement set for the game show and
That's all I was
doing our
gonna ask.
contestant outreach.
Did you build
So
this in your own basement, or is this like in the studio? I'm about to say that would be off the hook if it was though.
Yeah.
no, no,
Oh
no.
God,
So
I wish that
we
was our basement.
yeah, no, we rented like a warehouse space in Chicago.
Okay.
That's like attached to a shared workforce kind of space or
Okay.
a shared workspace where you can, use their computers and stuff. And
Yeah.
they had this big space that they use for events and things. And it was pretty much perfect. It was close to the O'Hare like landing patterns. So other than airlines kind of flying overhead, causing our sound guy Nick some issues. Um, it didn't really have like good heating, and we were shooting in
Hmm.
March, so it was kind of cold. But other than that, it really worked out perfectly. It wasn't very expensive for production, and our construction head Dustin Hoke was able to have ample space to have all of his equipment to build the set and get the set built. Meredith is the production designer, obviously, as we talked about a minute ago. So she was, laying the floor tiles down and there's this fun story of how her and one of her art assistants, Coy, were taking markers and drawing the lines in the wood paneled walls because traditional
They didn't
like
show up on
60s.
screen
Yeah.
when we ordered the wood paneling, and then the color of the wood paneling and the color of the grout, for lack of a better word, was sort of the same. Once it was on screen, it just looked like one solid wall.
One
And I was
flat
like,
panel. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, no, you need that old school wood paneling. So we literally brown sharpied every single line on every single wood
That's
paneling.
That
like
took
a
forever, huh?
that's
I tell
dedication.
that story quite a bit, but it's like it goes to show, like, those little things matter.
It
And
Oh
counts.
yeah.
It
yeah,
counts. I mean, if you're invested in something with your blood, sweat, and your tears, like you're gonna want it to look right.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I
Yeah,
totally
that's
get
the
it.
best thing. It's the best thing about independent filmmaking, especially when you're working with who you would consider to be your film family, is that it's truly about the heart that you're investing in it. You
Yeah.
care about it, it's your baby. It's not because you're making a lot of money to do it, it's because you care about it being good. And so
Hmm.
you're going to put in that effort, extra effort. And I'll never forget that. Like the visualization was so much fun where when I think back to it of I'm on the set where, you know, again, we kind of roughly put the couch on the floor and we're just kind of sitting there with, the coffee table in front of it. And it was me and Alexis and Adam, and we're running through the lines and rehearsing and stuff. And then over here, you've got Meredith and Coy from the art department, and you just see them with like these two sawhorses with like a stack of these wood paneled wall pieces laying flat, and they're just like going around the table just like drawing lines, and then they'll take the one wood panel off and do the next one and just go walking around and drawing. It was just
I think we
really.
started, yeah, because they were they weren't erected yet. They were sitting on pallets.
Yeah.
But I think we had actually had races at one point, running back and forth as fast as we could with these Sharpies. But yeah, I think to just add to a little bit to, you know, saying how it went from on the couch to a pitch deck, and, obviously then we shot it. But I think in between then, finding obviously the investors and the prize sponsors, the amazing prize sponsors,
Hmm.
our biggest one being well, they're a prize provider,
Okay.
Universal Studios,
Yeah.
sorry, Universal's Destinations and Experiences, which is the theme park division of Universal. So they
Yeah.
saw the pitch deck, and we had a bunch of meetings with them, a bunch of Zoom calls, and they loved it. They thought it was so cool, and that a trip to Halloween Horror Nights would be the perfect grand prize. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
like once all of that, kind of came together, it just really, really motivated us all. But, to kind of reiterate what Tony said is that the pitch deck was fine. It was great. I think it looked great, but I think it was just the general idea, like a horror
Right.
trivia game show. Like,
Yeah.
and then you see the characters and you see the colors and like just in general. I mean, if you went blindly to anyone and a prize provider and said, "Hey, we're doing a horror trivia game show," they'd be like, "Cool." And then like so to the level of like excitement people had for it before we even, started 1 ounce of construction was just so cool. And it really, I mean, even down to the crew members, everyone was so excited. They were just like, they believed in it. And I think, that's truly what made it happen. I always say, obviously, none of this would be possible. We had about 30 crew members, I
Hmm.
think, Jake, and they all just gave 120%. And, I think people were excited. They believe in, like Tony said, this is very perpetual. We can do multiple seasons. We
Oh
have
yeah,
we
definitely.
have people messaging us, I want to be on next season. How do I sign up? So yeah.
I was gonna ask that. How do you cast people? So how do you cast your game show host when you like?
Well, for the hosts, um, I've been friends with Adam Michaels, who plays Charlie, for a little over a decade at this point.
Hmm.
And I met him through an actress that was in It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want to, Darcy
Okay.
Wood, who I've known at this point for over 20 years. And she's been in a number of my films. And so, she was like, "Oh, I've got a friend who's done a lot of theater work that I think is just a tremendous actor, and you should check him out." And so I met Adam, and he auditioned for a movie I did called The Rake about 11 years ago now. That was
Hmm.
more of a serious, like psychological thriller monster movie.
Okay.
Um, and I didn't cast him, but then just kind of always kept in touch with him a bit, and ultimately he tried out for this movie I did called Skeletons in the Closet, which is the first iteration of meeting the widow and Charlie. They were kind of horror hosts,
Hmm.
hosting a show called Skeletons in the Closet, where they would watch a horror movie, and so Skeletons in the Closet was an anthology film, and they were like one of the wraparound segments in that.
Yeah.
And so Adam uh, played Charlie, and then with the widow, we obviously we had that first iteration, and Ellie Church, who is a pretty prolific indie horror scream queen, who I've worked with on High and the Hog, a Grindhouse movie I did with Sid Haig, and a number of years ago. She was in that, and so we were friends and brought her in to play the widow for Skeletons in the Closet, and it was awesome. But then with the game show, it's like we knew that we were going to really need to rely on improv skills, especially improv comedy skills.
Hmm.
And so we did some auditions and brought people in and obviously for both roles. And Adam, I think, just really was able to like think on the spot with some really just weird and silly stuff, which
Yeah.
is what the Charlie character needs to be. And the widow, we had, like I said, casting. I think we had about 15 different potential widows, and her audition tape, as soon as we saw it, we knew that she was perfect for it because she made herself appear into the tape. Like it started out on a blank wall, and then all of a sudden she snaps and she appears. And so she really understood like what we were going for in terms of that bewitched kind of
Yeah.
I Dream a
Yeah.
Genie magic from the 1960s and 50s and television. Um, and she's beautiful and she's funny in her own way. She's got more of the dry sarcasm
Hmm.
to kind of partner with Charlie's silliness,
Yeah,
which I
she's
think is
sassy.
great.
That's what I like.
She's definitely sassy.
Very
You
sassy.
know, and I wanted the widow to be sexy but like mature. You know, I wanted her to feel more like a 40s like Hollywood starlet,
Hmm.
like a Rita Hayworth as opposed to a modern day like sex symbol that's just got her boobs hanging out of her shirt. And
Yeah.
there is the sexiness there, but it's not over the top because
Right.
at the end of the day I want women to look at her and say she's a badass. I want to be just like the widow.
Yeah.
And so that's how we got them. And then the contestants, I've been working with Bloody Disgusting
I saw
for
that.
10 years now. And so I just reached out to them and said, hey, can we can are you interested in helping us, promote this? And they were like, yeah, this is a great idea. It's super cool. We'll do whatever we can to help. And so they did like a post looking for contestants, and we ended up having like an online submission form and got a whole bunch of people from all over the US to audition to be a contestant. And then we had to narrow it down and pick 15 contestants to come on the show.
That's
Awesome.
really cool. Yeah, I saw you did some work with Blood Disgusting for about how long you say? On IDB it says like 4 years, but you've done it longer, right? It says you worked at
I'm
Bloody
still
Bites for 4 years.
yeah, I still work for Bloody Disgusting. So I started working for Bloody Disgusting as the short film curator for the website, and I was co-producing with my buddy Jim a show called World of Death, and we
Hmm.
basically collected short horror films from all over the world and then showcased them on Bloody Disgusting's YouTube channel. And we did that from 2016 to 2020, and then Bloody Disgusting partnered with this company Cinedigm, who had bought Screambox,
Hmm.
which is a streaming service similar to
Yeah.
Shudder or Cranked Up TV or Bloodstream or Screamify, and um, and so they were like, we're we want to start letting Bloody Disgusting like kind of curate our content. And so the guys who run Bloody Disgusting hit me up and said, you did such a good job with World of Death. Are you interested in doing a new show for us called Bloody Bites? And so I started doing that in 2020,
Hmm.
as well as programming their cable channel, Screambox TV. And I've been doing that ever since. And, a year and a half ago, a little over a year ago now, I took over programming for Screambox as a whole. And now I'm the director of programming and original productions for Screambox.
Oh wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
And
So
this was
I got
shot
it.
before Tony was a full-time employee with
Yeah.
them. So
Okay.
it was something
Yeah.
that was in the works for almost like at least a year and a half prior to.
Yeah.
So
Tony, you had
Yeah.
Scotchworthy for a long time now, right? I mean, that's your production company?
Yeah. I got it. We founded it back in when I made It's My Party. So it's been around for about 20 years now.
Wow. Two
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah. I know it's crazy. It's
Time flies, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I remember graduating college because I have a bachelor's degree from a regular college before I went to Savini school, and
Hmm.
I remember graduating college and or I was a senior in college, and I remember one of my fraternity brothers coming back for like homecoming, and him just being like, "I can't believe I've already been out of college for a year," and I was like, "Man, that seems like such a long time to not have been in college." And now it's like I look back, I'm like, shit, I haven't been in college in 23 years. And in that time span, I've been making movies for 21 years. it's just crazy. I mean, I have a hard time believing that Meredith and I have been together for 8 years. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, the newest chapter of my life is with Meredith, and the fact that that's already been almost a decade just blows my mind.
Hmm.
So it's crazy.
That's
But that's
wonderful, though.
Oh, it is wonderful. And what it is if you really get down to the root of it, is it's like you have to sit and remember to tell yourself on a daily basis that you can't just sit around and do nothing all the time, because life is going to pass you by. If you have a dream, if you have a passion, if you have a talent, you really should try and utilize it and go after it as best as you can, because otherwise you're going to blink one day and be in your 60s and be like,
Yeah.
well, it's too late for me to start something now. I mean, unless it's maybe, I don't know, a hobby of some sort. I don't want to
I kind of got
trash
that
people.
last year, like when we started this channel. I was like, we have something going on here. So that I just really started hitting the floor running, and we've been like just hitting marks and marks after, basically every month.
Yeah.
It's just been like
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Good for you guys.
No, it's
That's
great.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
I love. So we watched. He sent me the first episode of Better Luck Than Chuck, and I first of all I loved it.
Yeah,
I like the color schemes. I love the mask. I like the
yeah,
costume design.
Thank
I've
you.
I thought it was amazing, and I was watching the short films too, the
yeah.
Festa
This,
with Love
yeah.
and the Hawaiian one, and I love it all, and I think you guys got something amazing going
Hmm.
on,
Thank
and
you.
I was really curious how you got the funding. How long did it take you to actually get the funding for all of it, for the costume designing for the studio? Like like it took you? You said you've been working about it for a year and a half now. So did it actually take you a year and a half to get funding, or did it take longer than a year and a half to get funding?
Yeah, easily. I think once sponsors got involved and stuff, I would say over the course of like a year to a year and a half, we did approach some studios early on to see if they wanted to get involved, but I think it was too much in the infancy. It was kind of one of those things where you either go out and do it yourself
Yeah.
or wait. I can't remember. I think Mark Duplass has like a couple of videos out of what he coined as development hell. He's like, if you have a script and you're too afraid to, go search for the money, yeah, you can find a studio, but you'll be like in development hell of like
Yeah.
creative meetings and approvals and sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen becomes
Hmm.
A lot
Yes.
of things don't make the
so
cut too.
That's
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think
that's the biggest problem, is that you oftentimes get people who are investing money who say, "Well, I know what's best for this project, and because I'm putting in more money than you, I get to have the final say." And
right.
Yeah.
I've had that happen on movies in the past, and it's not only detrimental to the quality of the film and the story that ends up getting, represented when you release the film, but it's also like it's detrimental to the relationship of the people creating it. And you know i I think that we just really kind of said, Meredith, obviously she knows all the struggles that my friends and I have had over the years of making movies at the independent level, and how we've been taken advantage of by people. And so I think that her and I just kind of looked at each other at the beginning of this, when we, like she said, when we got Universal to sign on as a sponsor or prize provider, that's what they
Hmm.
call themselves. When we got Fright Rags and Terror Vision and Trick or Treat Studios and all of these bigger companies that are huge horror companies saying, "Yeah, this is a great idea. We want to give you product to supply for your game show." Um, I think that it was a lot easier for us to go and find money from people that we knew, that just trusted that we were creating something good because it was us, and they trusted us. And obviously, there's pedigree in the fact that I've been making movies for 20 years. So it's not like they were like, "Well, you've never done this before. Do you know what you're doing?" They could look at the catalog and say, "Well, clearly your team is competent." And so I think that's really how it all went down. Um, and that it's really serendipitous, and the best situation you could have, because now Meredith and I are in control of our own destiny. We
Yeah.
we don't have to like call up some person and say like, "This is what we're going to do." The people that helped us finance this are the people that were just like, "You know what? We believe in you guys. You guys do whatever you got to do." And now that they've seen what we created, they're like, "This is phenomenal. We trust that you're going to be able to do a good job of selling it and perpetuating it as much as you did producing it." So they're very hands off, and it's super cool and convenient for Meredith and I, you
Yeah.
know.
Totally. And
Yep.
so, like when okay, so for the set design, Meredith,
Mhm.
um, so how did that come about? Because I mean, obviously you took the not took the idea, but you had inspiration from many different sitcoms and not sitcoms, but trivia games in the past.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I always say it's a combination of both, but starting it off with once we knew the Widow and Charlie were hosting it, and like Tony said earlier, they are characters from his movie Skeletons in the Closet,
Hmm.
and they were in an actual real basement for that film, and it was a very mid-century kind of basement, and so I just kind of always liked that vibe. There's just something like about they're very sitcom-esque in the sense where it's the husband and wife and
Yeah.
she's got that bewitched sort of magic. So like the mid-century vibes sort of fit with the characters. And then I also love a lot of mid-century game shows, Match Game and
right.
all of those classic game shows from the 70s and stuff. So it was like there was just things that just felt natural, but this isn't set in, mid-century. Tony always says she killed him in the 70s, she poisoned
Yeah.
her husband and keeps him in the basement. She just never updated the basement. She's not going to have
It's
contractors come in and update the basement. So it's modern times, but then, Tony and I are both products of the 80s. And so we wanted it to kind of just feel like a
old school.
kind of mix, like an ode to some mid-century vibes, but some fun colors and yeah, I mean, we had a lot of inspiration. Like I said, Match Game.
Yeah.
I always joke about the orange shag carpet. I had to have, the couches on that sort of orange platform. That was like a must. I knew the wood paneling and I knew the orange shag. That's all I knew going in. And then I was like, okay, I think game shows are fun. Game shows are bright and cheerful, even though it's a horror
Hmm.
trivia game show. Like I didn't want it to feel like, a typical haunted house set or, I
Right.
just they have such a comedic value to them as characters. And game shows are supposed to, like I said, bring a smile to your face or have fun with it, or whether
Fun,
you're
yeah.
yelling answers at the screen or whatever. Like, I just wanted it to be kind of cheerful, which I know is probably, weird for a horror trivia game show, but I think it worked. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I always say that Tony's original, like, vibe that he wanted for the characters just felt natural to kind of have a little bit of that like retro vibe
Yeah.
basement. Um, so
Well, and
yeah, we're very happy
the
with
great thing
it.
about it too is that like Meredith coined the phrase perfectly where she says that Better Luck Than Chuck is approachable. And what I love
Right.
about that is that so many horror fans have young kids that they want to be horror fans
Yep.
too. When you go to a convention, you see parents walking around with their 4-year-olds dressed as Pennywise or Megan, and or Jigsaw or Chucky. And so I always really loved the idea of this show. We always say it's not body parts hanging by bloody hooks in a dungeon with a dude looming in the shadows with a chainsaw or a machete. It's very approachable so that you can watch this with your friends that are not horror fans or on the fringes of being horror fans. You can watch it with your children and still enjoy it just as much as, I the comparison I always make is Ghostbusters. When I was a little kid, I remember watching Ghostbusters. It came out when I was 4 years old, and so I probably
Hmm.
saw it. I didn't see it in the theater, but I think I saw it. I was probably 5, 6 years old at the latest because my mom had it on VHS. And watching that movie as a kid, it's completely PG for a kid, but then there's also all the stuff in there that makes jokes that makes adults laugh because it's
Hmm.
sexual innuendos and stuff like that. And so I love that Better Luck Than Chuck is very similar to that in terms of being able to open the doors for more diversity for our horror audience to enjoy this. When we showed it at Series Fest in Denver, Series Fest is a television film festival, so it's not just horror content, it's mostly
Right.
comedy, drama, thrillers, and like documentary stuff.
Yeah.
And so we were really we were maybe one of two horror uh, pilots that were playing during the whole festival. And the best thing about it was that we had a theater of 200 people watching our pilot, and everybody was laughing. There were people in the crowd shouting out answers, pointing during the final workshop, which is like a
That's what I was
scavenger hunt.
doing.
Yeah, pointing out like there it is, it's right there on the shelf, or it's hanging up right there for the
Look to your
items that
right.
were hidden. Exactly. And so it's like we not only was that a wonderful experience for us and our cast and crew to kind of experience in person, but when we went out to the lobby after the screening, so many people came up to Meredith and I and our co-producers and just said, that was really fun. Like it was
Hmm.
funny. And I'm not even a horror fan, and I enjoyed watching it. So I think that is a really a testament to how approachable Meredith made it look and how approachable we made it feel with the writing of the characters and the humor and all of that.
Yeah, I like the way it went because you stayed away from like a cliche horror scene, like like Peter Vincent's horror stage and Fright Night,
Yeah.
and I get it because if you have something like that, it makes it unapproachable for kids. I have a son who's 18. When my son was 5, I dressed him up as Chucky,
Nice.
and that was years ago, so I totally
And you were so
understand.
proud.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I still am. I
Yeah.
still am. And the way it came out, like it reminded me of Bewitched mixed with Married with Children a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I got the Al Bundy vibe on the couch. He can't move and he wants to get out of there.
Yep.
But
His misery just comes through.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
I loved it. Yeah.
Stuck for 50 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I
on
mean,
50
Yeah, and
years.
literally, he says he's like, I haven't moved below the neck I haven't moved below my Adam's apple since Nixon was in office. So that's like early 70s. This
Yeah.
poor bastard's been sitting on this couch for 50 years. It's crazy.
I'm just rotting away.
Yeah.
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 And that's why we really, we did this whole, so we're, currently in the market, we're finishing our festival run with the game show and we're trying to find the perfect home for it. And so we're, having conversations about distribution, but that's why what we're calling the horror comedy micro sitcom that we released on YouTube is
Mhm.
that we realized like we love the Widow and Charlie. When we talk about them, we know, most people, like you said, you picked up on the Peg and El Bundy vibes. But we realize that some people might not understand the characters or know them. And so we
Mhm.
figured while we're still waiting to release the game show, let's do something fun. Let's do something silly with the characters. And so we got together back in November, just a couple months ago, and it sort of originally kind of just started as like, let's do a Christmas special just
Mhm.
with them, like sitting on the couch, whatever. And they started writing, Tony and Alexis started writing it, and they work great together. And we developed our editor and first AD, Charlie Queen. We kind of just all started like talking about story ideas and episode ideas. And we walked away with, I joke, we went in to make a holiday special and we walked away with an 18 episode micro sitcom. So, but it's just a testament to how fun these characters are, how great our actors are. I mean, a lot of what you're going to see in the micro sitcom is improv and it's amazing. And they're
Okay.
just both so great. And
I mean, the sitcoms weren't improv. No, I mean,
well,
most of it was
not all
scripted,
of
but
it.
we literally wrote it the day before we
Yes.
shot it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's when you say improv, a lot of the social media content was improv. Like we do holiday shout outs. We do shout outs for movies releasing in the theaters over the next few months. So we just did
Right.
like 28 Years Later. Next week or in the next couple of weeks, we've got a handful of other ones. And they're a lot of fun. Like we've got one for Psycho Killer, which is super cute. There's one for Send Help that's really funny with the Widow and Charlie.
Mm. I
And
wanna
so
see
all
that.
of those were 100% improv. Like, all right, guys, here's the movie releasing this week. Talk about Send Help. And then, them,
Charlie's like,
mostly Adam
please
and
send help. Yeah.
yes, exactly. It was like, send help. Seriously, send help. And it's I used the word a minute ago. I'm going to use it again. It's a testament to the acting talent of Adam and Alexis, and just the natural chemistry that they have together as people that have similar senses of humor. I'll never forget. Like I said, Adam and I have been best friends for 10 years at this point.
Mhm.
And Adam is a very funny person and a very outgoing person. He is the guy that is friends with everybody. And so like I remember when we were doing our first day of in-person rehearsals and they were meeting, I was kind of like apprehensive about Adam saying something that would potentially offend Alexis because everybody nowadays is like you
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
watch what you say around people nowadays.
Yeah.
And so, because you never know if you're going to offend someone, even if you don't mean it, because it's comedy. Um, and so we sit in this small room. Well, they're all in the warehouse building this set. We're in the office space that's next to it, and we're in this small room. Adam, Alexis, and I. And like a minute in, he's talking about farts and buttholes, and I'm just like, dude, you've got this beautiful woman who's 30 years old, 20s. She's in her late 20s. And she's you have no idea if you are being offensive to her right now. And thank God Alexis has a great sense of humor because she just instantly was like laughing with him. They hit it off, and you can see it in the show.
Yeah, there's
Um,
chemistry.
Yep.
Yeah.
yes, just legitimate natural chemistry, and
They
I'm just
fell
so
into their
proud of that.
character. Yeah, they fell into their
Yes.
characters so quickly too. They just embodied everything. They added their own spice and their own flair, and they would change a line or change a word just because they thought like, oh, the widow would say this instead of this. And Alexis was very good at bringing that to the character, and Adam too. So yeah, so we're just so excited. I think the the sitcom that's on YouTube, or it's a micro sitcom because we do get comments like, oh, they're so short, but we got together for 2 days. This was just a marketing thing. It was just a fun little, but it just goes to show the potential that
Yeah.
Hmm.
they have in spin-off situations, whether it is a full sitcom or, other horror hosting things or, but it's just, we're so excited. There's just so much potential, for the future with the brand and the characters and if you're liking the stuff you're seeing on YouTube, just wait for the game show is what
Oh yeah.
we're
I
telling
can't
people.
Yeah,
wait.
I could see the passion and dedication behind their acting because it's just how could you not love doing something like that? You
Yeah.
know, it just looks great. He sent me, he's like, hey, we're gonna interview the creators of Better Let Than Chuck. It's a horror game show. I didn't know what the hell I was gonna watch. So he so so he sends me a video and I start watching it and I was all Universal Studios. I was like, where did they get all this money for the set? I'm like, everything's really good. But that's like I was like, who are these people? And
That's
so
us.
immediately watching it, it was really impressive. Right off the bat,
Yeah.
it was really
Thank you.
impressive. It pulled me in. The characters pulled me in, and I like the way that you do in the shorts because it's
Yeah.
giving the characters more depth and more feeling for the audience to connect with. So when the game show gets dropped, they kind of just jump right into it, take
Yeah.
off.
So
You
did
The
you go
know.
in
coolest thing
totally
that
blind? Like, were you
Yeah,
following?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I went in blind.
Oh, wow. That's
So
cool. Because I figure most people have at least like seen some things on social media and whatnot. So that's awesome.
no, I don't. I'm not
the
on social media like I should be that
Oh,
much anymore. He
oh,
takes care of all the
the
social media stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
that's
the
He's
social media
cool.
guy.
the
Yeah.
coolest thing about the micro sitcoms is, like Meredith said, not, I mean, two things I want to point out is, like she said, we shot for 2 days. And so Meredith really wanted to do a Christmas special. And I started thinking, like, why are we not going to shoot more content that we can release on a weekly basis so
hmm
that we're not like having lulls where for three
Yeah.
weeks no one sees anything with the Widow and Charlie. And it was, I got a lot of pushback, I'm going to say, from everybody saying like there's no way we're going to be able to shoot all this. And then once again, it's the patience of our film family and it's the talent of Adam and Alexis for us to, in the end, for those 2 days, with all the promo content and the micro sitcom episodes, I would venture to say that we shot over 30 pages of script in
Yeah.
2 days, which
Wow.
anybody who knows production, you don't shoot 10 plus day pages in a day. That's
Right.
obscene.
hmm
And so it's, granted, it's mostly them sitting around this couch, but it was a lot of costume changes for the widow and a lot of different prop setups and stuff like that. But it all just worked out super cool. And what I really love about it is that because we shot it after, so long after we shot the game show, Meredith and I have watched each episode of the game show probably 500 times. I mean, not really, but probably a couple
Yeah,
hundred
yeah.
times at this point for editing it and going through post production and
Right.
stuff. And just because we also enjoy it, like we are big fans of our show. And I know that sounds hokey, but it's just so much fun to watch and be like, wow, remember when we were on set doing this? And so, like, what I think is super cool is that obviously in our minds the widow and Charlie are these characters that we know really well, but like you said, audiences such as even yourself did not know that these characters existed before seeing the game show. And so we were able to take this micro sitcom and build a prequel to the game show
hmm
so that people, even if someone hasn't been watching from the Christmas special on, people are able to jump in at any point. Like we just released episode 5
Right.
this past
Why?
week. So we've
Yeah.
got episode 6 this upcoming Monday,
hmm
which is Charlie hanging out by himself because the widow's on her trip to Hawaii. And So you could jump in episode 6 and be like, wow, that was cute. It's only 2 minutes long. Oh,
Yeah.
but there's 5 other episodes before this, and you can go back and binge those in 10 minutes, and now you're caught up on this season. And then, we were even able to, like on St. Patrick's Day, we have the episode is called Better Luck Than Chuck. And we do a little teaser showing all of our 15 contestants really quick.
Mm,
And the widow's like talking to the camera, which normally the widow doesn't break the fourth wall
Hmm.
in the sitcom. And so in the St. Patrick's Day episode, she actually breaks the fourth wall and is talking to the audience. And Charlie's just like, "Who are you talking to? What's going on here?" And it's all like preemptively setting us up for the game show that'll be coming shortly after that, hopefully. Um, so yeah, it's super cool. And even we're gonna release a BTS moment from the sitcom soon where Adam was getting, the widow, Alexis was in her outfit, she was sitting on the couch, the sound guy was miking her up,
Hmm.
and Adam comes walking into the room dressed as Charlie. And it's the first time he's been in the Charlie outfit and costume in 2 years.
Hmm.
And so Alexis is kind of sitting looking at the guy who's miking her up, and he's like putting it around her leg and everything. And she looks up, and Adam's standing in front of her, and she's like, my husband, oh, you look so good, and she's like, you haven't aged a day. And that capturing the fact that we got that moment captured on BTS makes me so happy because it shows just how much they enjoyed being these characters. And all I sincerely hope it's not even for the money that would come from producing future seasons or the success of future seasons hopefully bringing us an
Yeah.
audience. It's being on set again with our friends doing something fun. That would be a dream come true.
Yeah.
So all we can say is everybody out there, please support this show and
totally.
hope to God that we get future seasons because we could do this for 30 seasons. We could do this
Oh
until
yeah.
That's
Adam
what I
and
was gonna
Alexis
say.
retire.
Yeah, you could do the game show and the seasons of them too for ongoing until you decide to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
that
just there's
was
so much content you can get out of that. It's
yeah.
insane.
It was pretty funny when we were doing the sitcom because I think at first everybody was a little apprehensive of the concept, but micro dramas are really popular right now,
Yeah.
like all these vertical micro dramas.
Hmm.
Even at Screenbox, we're developing micro horror content right now. And so it's like for us to kind of utilize that same concept and release those as promo for the game show is one thing. But we literally said after we shot them, we're like, these are so much fun in and of themselves. We could be producing these. If you get together and you spend a week shooting the game show, you can just spend an extra 4 days shooting another season of the sitcom.
Yeah.
And now you've got both of those pieces to promote. And obviously, now that you've seen the sitcom and the game show, you can tell that the sitcom is a smaller version of the set.
Hmm.
Right.
Moving forward, the hope would be if people wanted the sitcom to continue, is that we would, or any other content, whether it's the Widow and Charlie literally sitting and hosting movies like Elvira or Joe Bob,
Hmm.
we can do that. And it would just be a matter of saying, okay, we've got the set built. We're doing season 2. We shoot, let's say, 10 episodes or 8 episodes or 13 or 20 episodes of season 2. And then when we're done with that, now we're just going to have Adam and Alexis on set and we're just going to shoot a condensed version of this with them sitting on the couch and doing these sitcoms and stuff. So we'll see.
And plus,
Fingers
like
crossed.
the micro too is like that's the kind of age we're at. It's like where people don't want to watch more than like 5 minutes of like content or at a time because everyone's on the go, you know.
Yeah.
So like those things are like perfect for like again for the sitcom to be like jump in at any time you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just promoting it so that people understand what it is,
Yeah.
because I
Right.
think
Right.
that that's one of the biggest struggles. Meredith, like she said, we're married, and so her and I all day we are talking about this. It seems like, and so we constantly bring up the concern that audiences might catch an episode and not understand what it is, and
Yeah.
so things like these podcasts where we have the opportunity to say, "Hey, everybody, just so you know." True Love Never Dies It Festers is a micro sitcom that is a prequel to our horror trivia game show Better Luck Than Chuck. If you like the idea of Peg and Al Bundy in the horror world, if you love the idea of Elvira married to the Crypt Keeper, that is what the Widow and Charlie are. check them out right now on YouTube. You can watch, at this point, 5 episodes of True Love Never Dies, It Festers. They're 1.5 to 2.5 minutes long each. It's a super quick watch. And if you fall in love with them, you've got a horror trivia game show that they host coming out in the very near future that is even bigger and more exciting. And they're 30-minute episodes. And so, I don't know. We're incredibly excited. It's like the patience is starting to wear thin because we just want people to see it, but it's all about strategy,
Yeah.
releasing it at the right time and making sure that the brand is developed. And so that's all we can ask is for people to check out the YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and like, comment, and subscribe, as they say, because all of that interaction helps. And Meredith is very good about responding to comments on all of our socials and talking
Right.
to our audience, and so we just hope that your audience checks this out and says, hey, this is pretty cool, I want to support it
They
too.
better check it out.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope
it's
so.
the whole
It doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah.
the support indie horror thing, it's like I think people see it and they think it is like studio backed, and
Hmm.
and that's great. It's a tremendous compliment to look that polished, that
Yeah.
people just assume that it's but it truly is. I mean, we could share a few BTS photos with you guys if you want to edit them into this podcast, but it is 30 plus awesome independent cast and crew, and we worked our asses off, and we're just so excited. And we just need everyone to go out there and support it. Like us, subscribe up to our YouTube, and if you like it, share it with another horror friend that might not know about it. And
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
He
The
sent me
cool
one
thing about
episode.
it,
I was like, "Is it more?" I was like, "Is it
Well,
more,
this-
oh
dude?"
yeah, there's
Oh,
more.
well, this isn't enough.
There's
Yeah.
more.
Ah,
You just gotta
I
wait.
was
Gotta
so
we
wait.
got you
excited.
hooked. We got you hooked.
I was like, how do I watch this? Where's the rest of it? He's like,
Oh,
they're not out yet.
it's coming. Well, the game show's not out, but the sitcom
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
is.
game show. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. So
Every
got
Wednesday,
you
new
hooked.
episodes of the sitcom.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
can say though, we're there's a couple different release and distribution strategies we're talking about and still having
Mm-hmm.
conversations, but we can confidently say it will be out in 2026. That's all
Okay.
we're
Perfect.
really,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not divulging too much more information yet, but
It would be
it
sweet
is
if it was
coming.
like
I know
October.
people have been, dying for it.
They'll
So
they'll be waiting till October.
no.
I was I
Well, I
was
was saying that'd be
I
kind
wanna
of
see it
sweet
before
fall
that.
season, dude.
We're not planning on waiting until October unless
Okay.
someone comes along and says, we're going to pay you handsomely to wait until
Yeah.
October. But I
Yeah.
honestly, like, the ideal situation would be someone, because we're having some conversations right now with interested parties and such, and you always have to worry about what they're going to want if they're going to partner with you.
Yeah.
What are they going to provide, and what are they going to want in exchange for providing something? And so our ideal situation would be if someone comes along and says, this is so cool, we need to move now, we want to get another season going ASAP,
Hmm.
so that we don't have to wait another year and a half to release season 2 after you
Yeah.
get season 1 out, because season 1 is 6 episodes, and if you release those weekly, that's still a month and a half of content, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's only 6 episodes. And I think back to, like, the first season of Walking Dead was only 6 episodes,
Mhm.
and then every season after that was more. It was like 8 or 10 or 12.
Well, the
Mhm.
second
So-
one was 12, yeah, and so on.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like, there's obviously an opportunity for us to do a lot more than 6 episodes in future seasons, as long as the financing is there to support it, because
Right.
we all put this one together with blood, sweat, and tears, and we're not going to keep doing that because we just can't afford to. So we're also busy doing other stuff. We're currently in pre-production for a talk show starring Ted Raimi,
Okay.
Ooh.
that we're doing for Screambox, and so it's not like we can just be like, oh yeah, well, let's just build the set tomorrow and shoot season 2 tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
going to take time. So
And how do you go with getting your contestants, by the way?
we did an outreach on Bloody Disgusting, and had a bunch of people submit through our website,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, then we had a period, I want to say, was it a month, Meredith, where we had submissions open, I think.
I think give or
And
take,
then
6 weeks maybe.
it was something like that. And then we went through and we basically reviewed everybody's submissions.
Yeah.
And Meredith and I at first had thought about bringing someone on to help us with that, and the person we were going to have help us, like, ended up being busy or something,
Mhm.
and so ended up being Meredith and I reviewing all of these people, hundreds of people applying for this. and we were able to I think we got it down to like 50 people,
Yeah.
and then that's the people that we really like we put extra time into. I did a Zoom interview with each of these people,
Wow.
and yeah, we narrowed it down. But that's the great thing is that we still have people available for future seasons, not to mention all the new people that are discovering it, saying, "How do
Yeah.
I become a contestant?" So,
Yeah, I have a
um,
feeling if we open it up for season 2, we will get like 4 times the amount
Oh
that
yeah.
we got
Yeah.
for
yeah,
the first one.
Including us.
I don't think a lot of people knew about it. It was obviously an article on Bloody Disgusting and then, a couple other posts, but we were so happy. I mean, we got, I think, the right amount for season 1. We weren't so overwhelmed. It wasn't like 3,000 submissions where it took us, weeks upon weeks, but everyone had to submit like a 2 or 3 minute video and
Hmm.
um it was great. I mean, it was really exciting. The cool thing about it is everyone's saying in their video, like, I have been waiting for a game show for the horror community has like been dying for
Yeah.
this. All these individual people, their individual personalities, whether they were shooting it from their basement or, showing off their horror collection, but like all of them are like, this is good. The one, I think one of the contestants was like, even if I'm not selected, I'm a fan, I'm going to be watching. And like, it was just really cool because we knew that people were excited about it
Yeah.
before we even started filming or started, building the set. I mean, I think we were in pre-production at that time, but and like he said, we could only choose 15 for the first season,
Hmm.
because we do 5 episodes and then the top 3 come back in the finale episode for the trip to Halloween Horror Nights. It's sort of
Right.
a tournament of champions, I guess. But so we only could pick 15 and it was so hard. I loved
Fight to
Yeah.
so
the
many
death. Yeah.
people. It was like, I know even like in the initial like social post, people are like, you guys didn't pick me. I'm so sad. And I'm like, I'm like, there was so many, we just tried to get a variety of like age and, obviously we have girl contestants, boy contestants, like just everyone, like just different kind of walks of life. One
Right.
one girl was like studying horror and writing a thesis or something on it, and one person was a filmmaker, and so they have their own path of how they became a fan or the way
Yeah.
they look at it.
well,
And
and we got Jose Mangan, who's a Sirius XM DJ, to be on the show, and he's
yeah,
in the
yeah.
first
His
episode,
audition
and
tape came through and we're like, yeah, he
um,
was just so enthusiastic.
yeah,
But it was a lot of fun. It was a cool process and it really, like I said, it really solidified the fact that we know horror fans are excited for this and ready
Yeah.
for this, whether they're going to be, obviously a lot of people want to be on the show, but just to watch it even. The best part about game shows is yelling, at the screen and test, our tagline is test your insight into fright, and you guys have a lot of knowledge. And so it's cool to see like just people uh, ready to get involved one way
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah.
Whether it's
I I
we hope when it airs, people get together with their friends and have 3 people on the couch with them and they're all seeing who can yell out the answer first. So
I totally did that. Like, and I don't like, I probably only got like maybe 3 or 4 answers right, but
yeah.
like I was like yelling at the screen. I was like, I never do that. I was like,
I love that though. That's the best part about game
that's great.
shows. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love hearing that.
It's gonna be amazing because I bought a horror trivia
board game
card game,
or card game, yeah.
and I bought it for my house, and nobody wanted to fucking play it with me. And I got so upset.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me, dude? Nobody
Oh.
wants. We don't. What is it? Horror movies? We don't want to play this.
Oh.
So to see this game show come out is amazing
Oh.
Yeah.
in so many levels. I think it's going to be very, very fun to watch, and it's going to be very, and it just looks very, very fun to be a part of, production wise, casting wise, being a contestant. It looks amazing in all sorts of levels.
Thank you.
And
You guys are
I'm
crushing it.
super stoked for it.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Um,
Yeah, we need about 10,000 people like you, and I think we're off to a good start.
They're out
So,
there.
oh
They're
yeah,
out there.
the horror
bit.
community is very
There's
supportive.
They
it's
are.
super supportive, but the
Awesome.
problem is getting people to find out about you and paying attention
It's
because
algorithms
you
that
know,
are
Yeah.
Yeah.
problem.
yes,
Algorithms.
algorithms.
I
It's
just
tough.
joined TikTok for our show. I was on Instagram forever with the show, but I finally started a TikTok for Better Luck Than Chuck, and it's like it's exciting. I mean, we have what I think 1,200 followers, but it's like there are people with like 400,000 followers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting because we're managing. We have an awesome team, our co-producers and stuff like that. But in terms of like the creative stuff, the social media, the posting, the design of the thumbnails on YouTube, that's all
Mhm.
us. So It's a lot of work, but we're
Yeah.
excited.
You couldn't get me on TikTok if you tried.
I resisted for a very long time, but
I'm on TikTok and I barely even use it, but like
I know.
it is a source, a
I know.
resourceful
The show needed
platform.
it. I don't need it in my
Yeah,
personal
yeah,
life, but the show needed it.
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Anybody that you know that's a horror fan or you think would like this, please let them know about
Already
it. Tell
on
them to
it.
subscribe,
Already
tell them
on
to
it.
like,
Don't
Yeah.
worry about
tell
that.
them to
Well,
follow, all of that stuff. We need to build and build and build because if we don't, if we stay at the level that we're at, it's just not going to be big enough. But
right.
every person helps build the community that
Mhm.
supports it. So
I
Well,
think you're
we're gonna
I think
blast this all over
yeah.
ours. So
thank you.
Thank you.
I think you're gonna have a lot of success with this. I think it's gonna turn out
Thank you very
to
much.
be a great thing. So
Thank you.
sure.
That's it's very nice to hear the audience, horror fans say that to us. It means a lot to us because we all put a lot of time and effort into
yeah,
this. And we speak on behalf of, like she said, at this point, including post-production, 50, 60 plus people. So we all really appreciate that people like you understand what we did and appreciate what we did and want to see more. So you
definitely.
know, your role in this whole thing is helping us get the word out as best as you can. So we appreciate it.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Oh yeah, we'll be blasting all this across the platforms.
Okay.
That's right.
Uh, that's all I have for you guys now. Nick, do you have anything closing statements?
No, nothing much. I've given it my praise. I love the way it
Yeah.
looks. So again,
Uh,
I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of these episodes when they drop. I really am. So yeah.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
yeah. So guys, for those that are listening, check out their YouTube. Better Let Than Chuck. They have their sitcom right now up to episode 5, but by the time this comes out, 6 will be out. But for those that listen to us, on YouTube, we are Beyond the underscore Ether on Instagram, and then my personal account on IG is Cali underscore DTO. Nick, what you got?
My personal account is Bay Area Creep, and that's all I got. Tony Meredith, is there anything that you wanted to say before we end this?
So we got my personal Instagram is Scotchworthy. You can find me on there. It's basically a cartoon of Charlie, a green zombie,
That's right.
is my avatar. And then you can find Better Luck Than Chuck on Instagram, Better Luck Than Chuck on TikTok. We're on Twitter, though we don't really use it. Same thing with Facebook. I think Facebook kind of gets the runoff from Instagram. And
Right.
then our YouTube is Better Luck Than Chuck as well. So I don't know, Mayor, if there's anything else you wanted to mention, but just please
No, yeah,
like,
those
comment,
are
and
all the
subscribe.
socials. We can send you guys links to and everything if you need anything.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
please.
they'll be on the description of the
yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
for
So
sure.
give us a follow, share it with a friend, and stay tuned because we got some more fun stuff coming, like I said, with trivia and hopefully an announcement soon on where you can watch the game show.
Cool.
We can't wait to see it because this thing is just incredible. So
Thank you.
The anticipation is real.
yeah. All right,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Well, take care. You guys you guys are killing it already. So
Yeah, thanks for coming on and talking to us and joining us. We super appreciate it.
yeah, your
Yeah,
time
we
is
appreciate you checking out
valuable.
the episode and having us on.
Definitely.
Yes, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
All
you
right, so
helping
we'll
us
keep in
support
touch,
this.
and you guys can have a great weekend.
You too.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.